When is a recession a recession? Apparently, it depends on who you ask. The conventional wisdom is 2 consecutive quarters of negative economic growth. But technical descriptions can be sometimes inconvenient. Earlier this month, Finance Minister Joe Oliver said he didn't believe Canada was in a recession. 2 weeks ago, Bank of Canada Governor Stephen Harper admitted the economy had just ended 2 straight quarters of contraction. But he wouldn't utter the R word. The C.D. Howe Institute doesn't think we're there yet, because the downturn is not pronounced, pervasive, and persistent across the country and the economy. Today, the Conference Board of Canada downgraded its growth outlook to just 1.6% in 2015, its worst performance since the recession of 2009. We may have a better idea when Statistics Canada reports May GDP numbers this Friday. The CBC has confirmed Prime Minister Stephen Harper will go to the Governor-General as early as Sunday to dissolve Parliament to call a federal election. The big picture is here to weigh in. Goldie Hyder is the President and CEO of Hill & Knowlton Strategies, and Armin Yalnizyan is a senior economist with the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives. So obviously, discussion of a recession becomes a really big deal when you know that election is coming.
Well, I don't know if we have a recession, but we're definitely having an election, and I suspect that this will be the subject, du jour throughout this campaign. Canadians are in the middle of summer; they're probably going to enjoy their summer like normal Canadians would. But when they come back and they start paying attention, I suspect that this is the ballot question: which party has the best plan for the economy? And I suspect that there'll be some very clear choices on that front.
Yeah, but I mean, this issue of what people being hesitant to describe it as such. Purely politics, or actually just good, sensible, cautious management of the economy? What do you think, Armin?
I would say it's a bit of both. So I think it is cautious on the part of the Bank of Canada because they're forecasting a slowdown. We don't have the data, and we won't have the data to find out if we're actually in 2 back-to-back quarters of decline till September the 1st, which is just in time for an election recession debate. And the big question is it going to be front-end loaded, as the government has been saying all along that the oil price meltdown in January was? Well, today we are trading at even lower than we were in January for oil. So we're now at below $50. So it's not just a front-end loaded problem and oil rights itself. Today we are talking about what's happening in China. Last week we were worried about Greece. All around the world we're looking at a fragile economy that's slowing down. I don't think Canada can conduct this. So the question is, what's the economic action plan, not the economic distraction plan in the face of slowing growth?
Now, we were talking in the break about just the length of time now between calling the election and the actual date, a very, very long campaign. How do you think the economy, does that work in the government's favor or against it?
Well, it depends. There are things that governments can control and there are things they can't. It's this dreaded events thing. Armin mentioned the volatility. The reality is the government's been talking about volatility as part of its narrative for a long time now. It's acknowledging that these are things that are well beyond its grasp, because it's not unique and acute to Canada. Just run down the gamut here. Mining. Largely driven by the fact that China's economy slowed down dramatically. They stopped building a lot of things, and they don't need our steel and other products that help them make their buildings and their bridges. Oil, we know what Saudi Arabia is doing, but now add to the mix Iran. The idea that more barrels of oil are going to come out, that's only going to make it even harder. I think one of the things that underscores, by the way, as a sidebar here, is the challenge we face as we continue to be landlocked to get our products to market. I've been saying that's the issue of our time. I still believe it's the issue of our time, and this makes it even more so. Manufacturing. Mexico has emerged now in the automotive sector, taking away more and more work from Canada, and they're moving it down to Mexico. These are factors that are in play here, for which now I think, as to Armin's point, parties are going to have to come forward with what are you going to do about that as it relates to labor strategy, marketing strategy, trade policy, et cetera, et cetera.
But what does it matter? The economy is doing what the economy is doing when you slap a label of recession on it. I mean, what is the impact of that, do you think?
Well, this is a government that in 2008, too, when the global crisis came into place, said there would be no deficit in Canada. We wouldn't do that because we had tax cuts that were going to stimulate the economy, and they had to prorogue the government to be able to come up with an action plan to deal with this colossal meltdown. And we rode on China's coattails. That's why we rebounded so quickly. It wasn't anything to do with the action plan that caused our markets to pick up.
I mean, I think we have to be honest.
Well, when you take a look at where the stimulus was spent, however, it wasn't in the places that were most hurt. It was spent in conservative ridings. That's what we we've just learned. And so consequently, I'm not sure infrastructure is going to do it. And the Prime Minister and his Finance Minister have been saying over and over again, tax cuts and trade, that will fix everything. We've heard this movie before. We've seen it before. It did not end well. So what is it if trade is declining and tax cuts are failing to stimulate an economy which is slowing?
So I think that, here's the challenge. We're operating on the premise of some people, really smart people, believe we're in a recession. Other really smart people believe we're not in a recession. And to your own point, the data's not in yet. I think the average Canadian out there is not bothered about the label on the economy. What they're interested in is themselves, their jobs, their futures, their careers, their opportunities. And on that front, the government actually has a pretty decent story to tell on the job growth numbers.
Absolutely.
And a lot of other organizations, Conference Board, has pointed out that the job growth is such that you can't explain it. And I think what's happening here is largely we're seeing what used to be a very balanced economy is probably a little more imbalanced because of the hit that we've taken in Alberta. The oil and gas sector is about 10% of our GDP. That is really turning out to have a much greater impact, including on manufacturing right here in Ontario.
Well, this is one of the factors that people are pointing to. Like some of the economists are saying, yes, you may have the Governor of the Bank of Canada saying that we're looking into but then point to 100,000 jobs gained in the first 4 months of the year.
But after
so
huge volatility,
really
huge volatility in the job additions, job subtractions, are they full-time, are they part-time? And frankly, rubber hits the road when your wages are enough to cover your bills. And what we've been seeing, the median hourly wage and weekly earnings have been declining in the last year. They are not going up. Our costs are going up, and our trade is declining. If you're putting all your eggs in terms of economic development in the trade basket, and trade exports are falling, but imports are coming up, so your trade imbalance is growing. You need a new plan.
But we're part of a globalization now. We're part of a global supply chain. We're going to have to compete, Armin. We're going to have to compete.
We're going to have to go to an election.
We're going to get that.
All right. Thanks, both of you.
Thank you.